Hello and welcome to Rule of Three's video review for Titanfall, a first-person shooter for the Xbox One and PC from Respawn and EA. So this should be a fairly short review because there's not a whole lot of stuff to review on this because it's a multiplayer-only game. But I was skeptical of Titanfall just because of all the hype, and I am glad to say that the hype. While I don't think it was quite as good as the hype would have believed, it's still probably one of the best FPS games on the market. Definitely one of my favorites as of now. So believe it or not, Titanfall actually has a story to it and a kind of a campaign mode. The story follows two factions, the Militia and the IMC. The IMC is a corporation run by a bunch of people, but it started off as Hammond Robotics, which is the company that created the Titans in the first place. And they're basically, trying to monopolize on the frontier, which is, humans have gone out and explored and have kind of colonized, and the frontier is kind of the far edges, which is very rich in minerals and, land and stuff. And the IMC wants control of this so they can, capitalize it and monopolize and make money. So that's one side. The other faction is the Militia. The Militia is basically the settlers, pirates, mercenaries that live out in the frontier and are basically saying, no, this is our land, get out. So you have kind of this battle going between the two, which at the end of the, I don't want to spoil it, but it leans towards one side at the end, but leaves it open for possible expansions to this campaign mode via DLC if they wanted to, or if when they come out Titanfall 2 if they want to expand on more. On the whole, it's okay. I like the lore behind it, but the actual campaign and story of Titanfall are really kind of dumb, and the way they did it was kind of lame. Which is basically the way campaign mode works is you're playing a multiplayer match with people talking. And that's how it works. And you don't really get any of it because Titanfall is a fast-paced game, which I think is the gameplay portion. So you miss out on a lot of it, and I had to go back and kind of read what was happening in each one because you don't really care about what's going on. The characters are all forgettable. So in terms of story, they have an interesting lore that they've set up, but it doesn't deliver in Titanfall. Gameplay is Titanfall's greatest strength. Now, it's your typical first-person shooter like Call of Duty. It's very quick twitch gameplay, but with the added elements of the Titans, parkour, and the overall balance of the game is what makes Titanfall really stand out. So, like I said, the game is really fast-paced. You're running around on foot for most of it, and the parkour system allows you to run on walls, jump to other walls, and just kind of hop around, and it makes it really fast-paced, and it's actually really fun. It's probably one of my favorite things and aspects of this game is the parkour system, because I suck at shooting everything, but I like running around and jumping everywhere. That was kind of cool, and it works really good. Everything's very smooth, and it plays really well. Control, I never had any control issues with having to run against walls or anything, and it allows for more of a most FPSs play pretty much just focus on the horizontal, just what's in front of you. This one you got to pay attention to kind of what's going on all around you because people may be running over you and you don't see them. They see you, kind of take the advantage to get a quick drop on you from there. So it adds a little bit of extra gameplay to it, and it's really fun. Titans are the other big thing in this game, and there are three Titans. There's the Strider, the Ogre, and the Atlas. The Atlas is the kind of jack of all trades. The Ogre is more of a tank that's really slow, and the Striders are more weak, but it has a high mobility factor that allows for hit and runs. I personally prefer the Strider and the Atlas over the Ogre because I like mobility, but that's just how I play it. But the game, all three Titans are pretty well balanced. Depending on your play style, just depends on which Titan you pick. The Titans themselves are pretty fun to play in. They're not a huge like if you're in a Titan, you're invincible. You're actually still pretty easy to take down as long as the team coordinates well with their Titans on the field as well as the pilots, because you can rodeo them, take them down that way. You have an anti-Titan weapon just for Titans, so it never feels one-sided once Titans on the field, which is really good. You still want to be strategic with them because if you have multiple Titans in one area and it's one Titan, you're going to be able to knock on it. But you can take out Titans out of a pilot fairly simply as long as everybody works as a team. Guns and balance are fairly are okay. I do feel melee is a little overpowered with one kick killing you instantly. I think if you get kicked from the front, maybe do a knockback and stun. But that's it. Instead of being a one-hit KO from the front, the back I'm fine with. If you get melee from the back, you fine. So that works, and as well as guns. There's enough guns for everybody. I tend to prefer the automatic carbine, but that's just because I prefer close to mid-range combat, and it works well for me. Some of the guns are kind of pointless, but all the guns on the whole tend to be balanced. There is a couple guns that if you lock on, it'll automatically shoot the person. Like there's a pistol that does it, but it's balanced out by it takes a while for that to even happen. So if somebody's relying on that and they're coming from the front, it's not going to work versus if you get someone from the back. You still, they still can get away because of like parkour and moves a little quicker. So everything's pretty balanced. I really did enjoy playing Titanfall. Everything for the gameplay made it stand out. I'm not a big FPS person. I'm definitely not a big Call of Duty fan, but Titanfall has held my attention more than any FPS that has come out recently, other than Battlefield. But Battlefield 4 is disappointing. But that's a different story. So gameplay for Titanfall is awesome.
All units, be advised. We are mission complete. Nice work. Be advised.
So while I do not think Titanfall is, the second coming of FPSs, it is a very, very solid first-person shooter that definitely innovates a little bit and is a definitely fresh, a breath of fresh air in the genre that was pretty much just Call of Duty, Battlefield. It is a nice kind of third franchise, I'm hoping. I'm hoping they make a Titanfall 2 because Titanfall 1 was excellent. And I give this game a buy rating despite it only being a multiplayer game. I think it's, good enough that warrants the full price. They just need to add some more modes, which is, I forgot to mention the gameplay. There's only a couple modes, but they're fun. The game has, as long as you're into the first-person multiplayer scene, it's definitely worth your money. However, if you don't have an Xbox One, I don't quite think it's worth just buying the console for. It is a good one to have in your library if you already have one. But if you have a decent PC, I would go with the PC version just because it plays a little... I played both versions, and I preferred the PC version a little bit more. But I prefer most FPS on PC, so I mean, that's I guess a playstyle choice. But I do not think it's quite worth buying an Xbox One for just that one game. But if you have Dead Rising 3 as well, I mean, it's definitely, once again, it adds up to the library to where I would want to buy an Xbox One. So that's it for this review. Shortly after this review is posted, Dark Souls 2 will be out for that review. Sorry this is coming out late. I've been very, very busy this week with 3 games, and life got kind of hectic again. So sorry about that. So next for Dark Souls next, and then next week will be Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero, and possibly a Final Fantasy X HD review if I feel like doing that one. So that's it for this review. Make sure to leave comments, subscribe, like us on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody, and always remember to trust in the rule of 3.